Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Today, I am joined with my friend Prerna Richards. And Prerna, you and I have done so much together, but I'm super excited now because Prerna is joining me in the True Value of Your Voice and the Child Care Business Coach podcast. Both my podcasts, we're going to do a dual purpose here. But Prerna and I have been working together for years. Prerna, you and I have been working together coaching our industry before coaching was trendy. We were the
There
coaches.
you go.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's now become a buzzword, but we've been doing it in the trenches for long enough now. Thank you for this
Right.
invite. I'm excited to
No
talk to you.
problem. Yeah, I love to joke that we were coaching before coaching was trendy.
Yep.
And now, see, we started a trend. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, trendsetters.
Yes. So, Prerna, I know you have worked with me so much on helping my center get to that level where we can finally apply for NACI accreditation. You worked on so much with me, just coming in and pouring into my members with just helping get their classrooms together. Now, I know you have your own amazing membership program with really just focusing on up-leveling the quality of classrooms for the children. And so when I was starting this True Value of Your Voice, I knew you were just perfect for this because the work you do in the world is one of the most important jobs the world has. So let's talk about why it is so important and so valuable for the people of this world to hear your message and why your voice needs to be out there in the world.
Well, thank you, Evelyn. Yes, we are both passionate early childhood educators, and I think we have that in common. And both of us, I think, agree that this is a calling. This is not a job. This is not a title. And that means something to me. I take this very seriously, and this means something that I'm here on earth, and this is a calling for me to help make the world a better place for children. And why does that matter? Like, why do we care about this? Because we know it is the most important years of our life. What happens early in life lasts a lifetime. There's no getting away from it. Whoever we become, the foundation of that was laid in our early years. Good, bad, in between, we become what our foundation is. Either we work a lifetime trying to run away from it, or we work a lifetime embracing it, but it's our foundation. And so, the current reality of early childhood is not exciting, to be honest. It's dismal. It's kind of dismal. I was literally talking to somebody today. She has a program in Florida, and she was telling me how the teachers are just not able to come up with the connection with the kids. They just want to ignore the bad behaviors. They just want to get on with it. And they've given them trainings, they've role modeled for them, they've shown them how to do it, but the change is not happening. And I said to her, it's because so many grown-ups have just checked out and burned out because the behaviors have got so intense. This is a reality we're facing. This is staff turnover, staff burnout, and this matters. We have got to do something different in early childhood. I honestly feel like, I don't know if you believe this, but we are at a crossroad right now. We have got to make different choices for early childhood. We can't continue the way we are doing. We have got to change the way we are teaching our teachers and teaching our children. And we have got to make sure that we are preparing them with life skills.
Yes.
And that's not happening right now because the stress comes in the way, the behaviors come in the way, and the best intent is lost.
Right.
And there's other countries doing it really well. We can do better. We can do better.
We can do better because you're right. We see it is done better in other countries. So that means we can. And part of the reason that the adults in the system and in our nation are really struggling and having this hard time is because they didn't have that quality early education that helped them with coping skills, that helped them with problem solving and that reasoning, that higher level social, emotional intelligence.
Well, who's in our field right now? Young 20s.
Yes.
Young 20s is our new generation. And they didn't have the skills that you're talking about, life skills, right? So they can give what they don't have. And the seasoned teachers, I'm going to call them seasoned, because somebody's going to hate me if I say the other word. So old is not the way, seasoned, but it's not working. What used to work 5 years ago is not working anymore. And I don't know, I am really convinced. So I've been really grappling with this question. This is so interesting that you bring this up. And, I've been grappling with this question. Are kids different these days? Or are we raising them differently and educating them differently? Why is there a disconnect with this increased pushbacks and behaviors from the grown-ups and the little humans? Let's just be honest. What is going on? Like, what is going on? And we're at the crossroad. If we don't change this, we are
Yeah.
failing the next generation. We have the potential, but there lies the hope. There lies the hope.
Yes.
We have the hope and the potential if we can make changes for the next generation.
100%. And that's what makes your message so vital to this world right now, because we have the hope to change the trajectory. We went through a crisis together that actually created a collective trauma, right? So now we're living in a world of a collective trauma. And in 2020, a lot of the people who are in our workforce now, they were at the brunt of it. They were at some of their formative years as well, through high school, early college years, where a lot of their perspective and their brain was still developing. So now we're recovering from this collective trauma. But I think what's important for us to point out is that during that early childhood development stage, when we are forming our executive brain functioning skills, had a lot of our brain functionings been formed correctly, right? Or just optimal level, because I really don't think there is a correct, but in an optimal level, we would have been able to cope better, bounce back better, the resilience, all of those things. But instead, now we're seeing this collective trauma, which is trickling down to the children. Now, because of our trauma and our inability to have the emotional regulation to bounce back from burnout, to recognize it, right? So many people can't even recognize that they're in burnout. Yeah. They don't recognize it. They don't know how to bounce back. They don't know how to cope.
But you just said something really important. Had we had that if we had resilience and grit and perseverance and tenacity in our character, the pandemic would have made us bounce back through it. And we know people who did. So let's not dismiss everybody.
Right.
We individually know businesses that thrived. We individually know people who thrived during the pandemic and are still thriving. And we know enough people that didn't. So what is that? What is the difference? Why did some families make it? Why did some businesses make it? Because it really goes back to our resiliency, our coping mechanisms. And if we don't give this to the next generation, in 20 years, I don't know if I'll be on earth or not, but in 20 years, these kids who are under 5 right now will be leading the country, leading the world. And God save us, because they don't have life skills.
Yes. Because the adults in their world who are showing up for them didn't have what they needed during their early years. So we can do better. I think that is the beauty of your message that you're bringing to the world. You literally have the key that can unlock the secret to making it a better future.
This actually is a true statement. It sounds very grandiose, but it's actually a true statement. You know why? Because I have seen a change in the programs that I have worked with. So I have seen the mindset change. I have seen that teacher who didn't know what else to do, and she was on the giving up space. Now she is back engaged in teaching, back committed to it, because she has seen the buy-in is there because it worked.
Yes.
Right. So we can't just accept and say these kids, they're awful, their behaviors are awful, and blame the parents or blame the teachers or blame the younger generation. Blame isn't going to change it. What is going to change it is how we see things and how we process things, and recognizing the importance of the work in early childhood, because really the world on the whole in general doesn't give it the importance. But us who are in the field really need to use the megaphone and tell the world this matters and we can't ignore it. And just watering down elementary education and making it early childhood is not okay. So these, policymakers, these lawmakers, these people who sit in whichever place, pay attention to this. This is important. We can do better. And there's tools to do better. This is not like a pie in the sky.
Right.
We can do this work. We can do this. It can change.
We really can. I have to say, I actually had a child that is a friend of my son's. who was in my preschool that is now graduated, he just graduated from college. And he actually came over to my house and was thanking me because he is actually first generation, not only college graduate, but high school graduate. And he was talking about how I was involved in the first 8 years of his life through my preschool and then before and after school program. And he was talking about how when he was a child, he saw that there was a way. And it was really cool having this conversation with him because I could actually piece together how the tools we gave him through my preschool program actually literally changed the entire trajectory of this child's life. And now he's a young man, he's not a child anymore, but it literally helped him to become a first generation high school graduate and then college graduate, because now he had those life skills, the executive brain functioning he needed to get him to the point where he could persevere through high school and through college.
I 100% believe that, he came to the right place at the right time, but he had what it took inside him. All children are born capable and intelligent, and we can teach them. I've had so many people say to me, they're only 3. You want me to ask this question of them? I'm like, yes. Like literally, I don't even know. Like there was a mother who was, she was a teacher and a mother, and I was at a venue in Utah teaching this 2-day conference, and the first day she was there, and I don't know if I've talked about this with you. Have I talked about this with you?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I never can remember who I've shared what with. So, but this story was such an example of how young parents. So she's in her 20s. She's a young mom, and she teaches a preschool classroom. And she said during the session that I was speaking in, she said she got all emotional and started crying. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And I don't know what the trigger was, but she got really emotional, and she immediately said, "My mom was so strict with me that when I decided I was going to become a mother, I wouldn't do that to my child." So she went the other extreme. So she's a preschool teacher. Her classroom is functioning fine, but she has a 3-year-old at home who's not respecting her, listening to her, kicking her, ignoring her, being rude to her, and she's failing as a mother. Because she became a doormat, and he doesn't have the life skills. And so I said to her, I said, "Have you asked him, why are you kicking me?" And her response was, "He's 3. I'm like, "He's 3. He can answer you. Why is he kicking you? Why are we not treating them?" I think our image of children changes the way we interact with them. So if I think of them as capable and intelligent, my conversation with them is going to be that you understand this.
Right.
Which, by the way, long story short, she did ask her son that night when she went home, because he started kicking her shins when she got home. And he said, "Why are you kicking me?" And he said, "Because you're not looking at me."
Wow. Yeah.
There's a reason why they do something. There's a reason why they do something. And life skills are so critical, even if we just talk about self-regulation.
Yes.
Self-regulation is life work. I'm still working on it. Right?
Yes.
Self-regulation has 3 parts. I don't even know how many people understand that self-regulation has 3 parts. What am I feeling right now? What caused it? And how can I help myself? That's self-regulation in action. I am applying it constantly throughout my day. I keep getting triggered, clearly. So I have to constantly keep regulating myself. Like, what are you feeling right now, Prerna? Okay, I'm feeling irritated. Why are you feeling irritated? Name it. Okay, what can you do to help yourself, right? It happens on and on. But if you think about life skills and you think about children can self-regulate till they have a grown-up who co-regulates with them. Right? Yep. So if that grown-up doesn't even know the concept of co-regulating, how are they going to do it? They would have the best intention, but if you don't know co-regulation, what it sounds like, looks like, feels like, you're not doing it actively. So it's a missed opportunity. Right. Yes. I mean, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, "But what does that mean to you, Prerna?" Okay, let me explain. Is that okay if I explain what co-regulation means to me? Like I explained, self-regulation is 3 parts. What am I feeling? What caused it? How can I help myself? This is constant work as a human being. You have to asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? What caused it? How can I help myself? Right? That's in action. Co-regulation happens so beautifully. And I was in a classroom last week, and I was so encouraged by this teacher. I'll just call her Ms. B for right now to protect her confidentiality. Miss B was doing co-regulation beautifully throughout the day. There was a time where the children were playing with the blocks, and the little guy was getting frustrated because the blocks were not stacking up the way he wanted, and he was starting to kick it. And she called it out. She says, "Oh, Daniel, I see that you're getting frustrated. Is it because you've put the smaller block below and the bigger one isn't standing on top? So, what you're feeling, what caused it, and what
Yeah.
can you help yourself? Okay, let's take a deep breath and let's start again." The
Mhm.
teacher's doing it so naturally throughout the day. And then they got to
Right.
lunch and the kids were getting all antsy. And she called it out again. She's like, "Oh, I notice you guys are getting a bit restless and a bit impatient. I understand because lunch is late. Can we do a finger play right now to make ourselves not get bored?" The kids in her classroom are constantly being regulated because she's
Mhm.
labeling it by saying, "You're not a bad child. There's not
Yes,
something wrong with you. You're just feeling impatient.
which is
You're
understandable. Yes.
so the message, so much work to be done, Evelyn. It's so much
I
work.
agree. And well, and even in what you're saying, if you even break it down more, there was validation there, right? So the children feel seen and they feel validated. When teachers are just talking at them, why are you behaving this way? Well, now the children don't feel seen and heard, and that just escalates the behavior. But in the way this teacher came about it, not only is she's also validating, right? She's also making them feel important. Like, I see you, I hear you, and that's important.
And there's nothing wrong with you.
And there's
You're not a
nothing, yes.
You're not a bad child. You're not my problem child. She's
Yes.
separating the child from the behavior because
Yes.
the way we talk to children becomes an, head talk. When I was little in school, people constantly told Prerna talks too much. Like every single report card that went home, I was being criticized for talking too much. Little did they know that I was going to be a leader when I grew up,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
we were a leader in the making, but I became that child. I was the problem child because I talked nonstop.
Right.
So I believe that. I believe that perception about myself that yeah, I'm a problem child because I can't stay still. I can't stop talking. Right?
Right.
So that's not co-regulation. I've spent a whole life trying to undo what was done.
Well, exactly. Right. Well, literally, what today is your superpower, they were trying to squash that in you. So my
But
son
still,
had,
it takes time because I still
yes,
doubt myself because I'm like,
yes.
am I
Like, am
talking
I
too much?
talking too much? Yes. They,
I ask myself all the
yes.
time, like, Prerna, you're talking too much because it's drilled in my head that I
Right.
talk too much.
Right. And that actually turned out to be your superpower. So
Go
I mean,
figure.
I 100%. So one of my son's preschool teachers, I was a young mom and I was about 23. And I remember just being really worried because he is very, like, just very opinionated, go getter. He was a 3-year-old leader. And I'll never forget, she was actually a child psychologist that had retired, but she missed being around children. So she worked 4 hours a day at the preschool that my son and I actually worked there at the time too. And she just wanted to be in a classroom. And it was a wonderful experience because one day she said to me, "Evelyn, your son is a leader. You're trying to get him to conform to everything you want." She said, "But you really need to stop and ask yourself and really look at the fact that what you're doing is raising a future adult."
Mhm,
She told me, "Stop looking at his behavior today and
mhm,
understand who he is." She said, "Do you want him to turn into a follower?" And I said,
mhm,
"Well, of course not. I want a leader." She said, "Then don't squash the traits
mhm.
in him that make him a leader."
Wow.
And it really changed how I parented him. And it
Mm.
changed so much because I just realized what you just said. I separated him from his behavior.
Yeah.
And I also realized that I was trying to make him fit into a box that he didn't
Mhm.
fit into. And that's what we
Yeah.
see in just anything from
And
birth
our
to grade.
children, yeah, I am so, I mean, we have 4 grandchildren now, and I am so amazed at how capable and intelligent they are.
Yes.
And we can't parent and educate this next generation the way we were doing it because I don't know if evolution has happened or brain evolvement has happened. We have to change our way of parenting and educating, but it has to be grounded in brain science and SEL. We
Yes.
have got to bring social emotional learning with us. Social emotional is not just hanging in the sky. Oh, I have good feelings and I get along with everybody. That is not social emotional.
Yeah,
Life skills are social emotional. Co-regulation is social emotional, right? Self-regulation is social emotional, right? So,
it
uh,
is. Yeah.
but so many of the big universities now are saying, we want children, students coming in with life skills of empathy and compassion and
Yes.
teamwork and negotiation and compromise. These are qualities that we need. But
And that's
how are we
formed in
going to
the
get
first
there?
5, yeah, that is formed in the first 5 years of life. That is, and that's the missing piece that people don't understand. I was telling you before we started recording that last week I got to spend the whole week with a bunch of just innovative leaders that have completely transformed industries. And I really had to convince on why is early childhood education so important. And really what it comes down to, for those of you who are listening to the True Value of Your Voice podcast or watching, and you're not part of the early childhood system, we are literally helping to develop your future workforce.
Mhm.
This is the future of every nation in the world. They are the ones who are going to be creating legislation that becomes our laws. They are literally the one we are going to employ. And as we start to retire, who are going to be taking care of us.
That's right.
And it is literally the executive brain functions, all the things that an employer is looking for in a good employee is formed in the first 5 years of life. And that's why Prerna's message is vital to the world. And we need her voice on more stages, more podcasts, is out there more, because literally the work Prerna does can change the world.
Thank you, Evelyn. And same to you. I think we are co-workers in this space together,
Yes.
contributing and making it our mission to change how we can do better. Because we've tried it and we've tested it. This is not just in the air. Coaching, this is such an interesting word because you have a membership, I have a membership, and coaching is something that is second nature to us. And we
Yes.
do it naturally. But do you know how many? So I do coaching of the coaches now. So my
Yes.
membership is geared for coaching of the coaches because here's what I realized, there was a missing link, that we moved staff members who's a rock star teacher and we say to her, I'm going to make you an education coordinator. I'm just going to
Yeah.
promote you to the education coordinator, assistant director position. Literally, this happened today. I just literally was the school I was talking to in Florida. She literally was telling me, that's what happened to me. I'm an education coordinator, but I haven't got the skills to coach. So when I'm telling teachers to do this, I'm even role modeling for them. I'm even in the classroom, but she doesn't have the skill set. This takes skill and it
Yes.
takes knowledge, and everybody can learn it. Everybody's capable. But you need that, right? So
Right.
our teachers need help. Our owners and directors need help
Yeah.
because we're wasting a lot of money and financial drain is happening. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, why all of this matters? Because our children are not getting what they need at the end of
Yeah.
the day. We're advocating for our children. Children are our clients, right?
Mhm.
That's who we're making a
Yeah.
difference for. And the schools that do it, the schools that have a strong SEL foundation, the school that have morals and values, the school that stand up strong and don't just fall like, oh, I can't say no to you because the parents will get upset. No, they need to learn boundaries. They need accountability. They
Yeah.
need all these skills. We can do better, and
We
we
can.
we
Yeah.
need to advocate for better.
We do. And even the schools that are kicking out children because they can't handle the child. It's not the child.
Oh,
It is not the child. It is the program.
it
And
is the grown up in
it
that
is the grown
classroom.
up. Yes, it is. I hate to, there's no sugarcoating it, right? It is the grown
All
up.
of what it is, 85%. That's what the latest research I saw.
Yep.
85% of behaviors that are happening is because of that grown up who doesn't know how to connect with that child whose needs are not met.
Yes.
Whatever that is, it's an unmet need, and you're not able, you're not capable, you're not trying, you're giving up. Whatever the stance might be, it's
Right.
on you. It's on the grown-ups.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Prerna. This has been amazing and awesome. And again, any of you listening out there, even if you're not in the early childhood field, Prerna is available. I'm going to put your
Thank you.
information back up for Together We Grow. And then in the show notes, we will link some links on how you can get a hold of Prerna. If you're in a center, a childcare center, and you need to find that coach who can train your internal coach on how to properly train your classrooms or your teachers, Prerna is definitely the one you want to work with. And if you have a message to get out to the world, let me know. I am on a mission to help more people get their message out to the world through the true value of your voice. And part of the reason, Prerna, what you were just saying, coaching the coaches, kind of what I'm doing at this point too. At one point, I looked and decided, you know what, my competition is competition. They're collaborators. I see a future where early childhood education really can change the world. And I realized if I start helping get the voices out there in my industry and help coaching people who are trying to coach early childhood educators, then it just makes the world a better place. So I'm
Well,
doing
look,
the
you
same
are my
thing.
coach. You are a mentor and a coach to me anyway. So, the cycle continues. We all
Yes.
have to learn. And when we learn, we share, we give,
And
and
we
we pass
trickle
it
it
on.
down, right?
Yeah, it
Yes.
passes on. Like I love having you as my coach and mentor because I've learned from you. And so, right, we're in this field, we're helping each other. This is this is how we play collaboratively in our space. We don't need to be
Exactly.
competing. We
We
don't need
don't.
to compete. There's enough out there for everybody. I would say
There
lean
is.
on collaboration, not
Yes.
competition.
And just one last thought on that. That is really just coming from a place of abundance instead of
Yes.
lack. When you understand that there is more than enough out there, there's more than enough clients, people, money, everything out there. You don't have to worry anymore about, and that's why I want to lift more voices up, whether you're in my industry or a different industry, there is more than enough for all of us.
We are better together. We are
Yes, we
better
are.
together and we are stronger together. And I think if we come together and we put our heads together and enough people come to the table and change what's happening in your individual program, your
Yes.
individual classroom, your individual relationship. I'm one, but I can make a difference. You are one and you can make a difference. And one
And
is quite powerful.
yes. Well, thank you so much, Prerna. Do you have any final words?
No, I'm just so grateful for this opportunity to connect. And, I would love to hear from anybody who wants to connect with Together We Grow Up with me and learn more. And, join this movement of
Yes,
change. That's what
absolutely.
it is. It's a movement of change. So join it.
Yes. Thank you, Prerna.
Thank you.